Friends, we have the all clear, which means we are out of here. Sounds like to say you're in Harambe Twende, and that means let's go.
Okay, so we are on the
Well,
next
gentlemen
ride.
and friends, once
Keep in
again,
mind,
and welcome to Kilimanjaro Safaris here on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. My name is Max. I'm your safari driver and animal spotter report today. Now, before we get started, I do have a couple reminders for your safety. I'm going to ask that you remain seated at all times. That includes when the truck is moving, when it's fully stopped, and all those hands, arms, feet, and legs must remain inside the truck at all times. If you do plan on taking pictures, make sure you hold on to all those loose articles as tightly as possible. This is a very bumpy truck ride. If you do happen to lose anything off the edge of the truck, just go ahead and raise your hand. I'm going to raise mine, and we're both going to wave goodbye to it together forever. Now we are just waiting for the warden here to give us the all clear. We should be all going to set off, and just like that, we've gotten the all clear to start. Now we are starting off our safari here in the Little Ituri Forest. A lot of the animals here like to use camouflage their advantage. Make sure you're looking out for some of these animals. They could literally be right out in front of you. They're starting over here on the right with those black and white striped legs that may look like a zebra. However, that animal's not a zebra. It's actually an okapi, and the okapi is the only known relative of the giraffe. That animal has the same skeletal structure as well as that long blue prehensile tongue like giraffes, just at a little bit of a smaller size. And this animal here on the left is taking a little bit from this tree here, it looks like. That tannish animal with the white stripes, that is greater kudu. And greater kudu are the tallest standing antelope in the Ituri. They stand 5 feet tall at the shoulder. And those are all females, and the way I'm able to tell is the fact they do not have any horns. If they were males, they would have 6 foot tall spiral horns at the top of their head. But considering they have no horns at all, we're probably right to assume that that was indeed a female. Now, just by show of hands, anyone's first safari with us? Anyone's first safari? Okay, good. Thank God I'm not the only one. So hopefully for those who've been on before, if I get lost, we'll be able to help with directions, but I guess we'll find out. Now, it looks like coming up here on the left is the larger animal we're going to find here in the Ituri. Here on the left, we do have a black rhino. Now, black rhino are the smaller of the 2 species of rhino here on the reserve. They do weigh 3,000 pounds. And they are a fairly endangered animal for the most part, just because they're mainly poached for their horns. The horns are made of that same material that your fingernails are made of. Now, even though they look very large and dangerous, they are really not that aggressive an animal whatsoever. They're more defensive, if anything. And even though that black rhino was by himself, black rhino do prefer to be more of a solitary animal. So kind of by themselves like that is what they prefer. They really don't like being in those larger groups, except when they're young. And then over here on the left, there is a bird. There is a saddle-billed stork. Now, saddle-billed stork get their name from that yellow saddle-shaped shield located on their bill. They're a fairly large bird. They're going to be about 5 feet tall and have a wingspan of up to 9 feet wide, just roughly about the same width of this truck. They're also one of the only birds that don't have vocal cords, and they communicate to one another by rattling their bills. Now, friends, we have entered into the Safi River. A lot of the animals here in the Safi River like to use these watering holes to cool off, but some of these animals also like to call these watering holes home. So make sure you're looking deep in those waters, try to find some of these animals that may like to lurk underneath. And if you look on the back right, there are some Nile hippo. And Nile hippo are one of the largest and most dangerous creatures in Africa. They do weigh a little over 5,500 pounds. What makes them so dangerous is that they are extremely territorial. However, for the most part, hippos are herbivores and they only eat plants. But because they eat plants, the hippos do need to eat anywhere from 80 to 90 pounds of vegetation every single day. The hippos also do spend a majority of their lives underwater. And there's a float of them over here on the left. So because of that, they can't hold their breath to up to 8 minutes at a time. Now, hippos also do sleep underwater, and their bodies will naturally go to the surface to grab more air, and they'll sink back down when they've got enough air to continue sleeping. Now, just because hippos do spend a good chunk of their lives in water, that does not mean they can swim. Being that hippos do weigh as much as they do sink, and actually hippos use their legs to kick off the river floor off of things such as trees and logs to be able to propel themselves forward. And now here on the left, we do have some pink-backed pelican. And pink-backed pelican get their name from that pink coloration on their backs during mating season. They are a colonial nesting species of bird, which means that they will nest in groups of upwards of 20 to almost 500 pairs of pelican at a single time. They also have fairly large wingspan of up to 7 to 9 feet as well. They also are a very large bird too. And a group of them is called a pod, and we did just see a pod of pink-backed pelican. We're gonna go ahead and make our way out to the savannah. The savannah is home to the most amount of land as well as the most amount of animals we're going to find here on the reserve. Because the savannah is so big, we have split it into two sections, the western part of the savannah and the eastern part of the savannah. And we're going to go ahead and start out at the west part of the savannah. Now take a close look at all the scenery around us with all these kind of trees and the shade and also the taller grass. Because just in a moment as we head out to the savannah, you'll notice that that's going to change drastically. And we'll explain just in a minute about exactly how these animals kind of shape the environment that's around them. Now the tree coming up here on our right is also a great indicator we are heading into the west savannah. This is a baobab tree, also nicknamed the upside down tree, and it's called that because it looks like those roots are sticking straight up into the air. Now this tree looks like that because it does grow leafless 9 months out of the year, but another name we give the baobab tree is the tree of life. And that's because during those drier seasons, the baobab tree is water in its trunk, and it was like elephants would come out and toss it up, break that tree open and drink the water on the inside. Now friends, we have entered into the savannah. And again, notice that we've lost a lot of that shade, gained a lot more sun, and the grass here is a lot shorter. And it's again maybe due to a lot of the animals that call the savannah home. A lot of Africa's most famous animals that include lion, zebra, giraffe, and elephant like to call the savannah home. So of course we're gonna keep our eyes peeled to see whatever animals we may be able to spot. Now of course again with that scenery shift, again, the grass here is a lot shorter here. That's because there are a lot of animals here who are grazing animals who graze out on that grass. But also notice that all these trees here are kind of trimmed up to that perfect 18 to 20 foot tall height. That's mainly due to giraffes. So again, a lot of these animals are going to shape the environment that's around them. The giraffes are going to eat up on those trees, which explains why they're trimmed up a lot higher, a lot more sun. And the grass here gets a lot shorter because a lot of the animals here are a grazing animal. And again, all these animals are going to really change the environment around them. You notice that as we continue our way through the safari, you're going to kind of see that exact same theme change as we go. And over here on the left, we do have some painted dogs. There are some that are kind of on the left side of the hill. There's also one standing up really close up here, just two of them actually. Now painted dogs, even though they look very cute and cuddly, are one of Africa's most successful hunters. Whenever these painted dogs hunt, they'll catch their prey 90% of the time. And what makes them so successful with hunting is their hunting strategy. They each take turns chasing after their prey until their prey eventually just kind of tires itself out. And a really cool thing about them is like your domesticated dogs at home, your dogs at home have 5 toes, but those guys only have 4 toes. And over here on the left, laying down, we do have some sable antelope. Sable antelope are the official emblem of the Haram Bay Wildlife Reserve. And the horns of that animal lean backwards to allow them to defend their backsides if any animal tries to attack them. Now here on the left, you do have 2 animals coming up. This really smaller one is a springbok. They do grow to only be about 3 feet tall, and they are one of the top 10 fastest land mammals in the world. But obviously these other animals here on the left, these are Maasai giraffe. They are the tallest standing land mammal in the world. They stand anywhere from 18 to 20 feet tall. And I'm able to tell these are Maasai giraffe based on their spots. Maasai giraffe have a much more jagged, almost kind of sharp looking spot to them. Over at the Animal Kingdom Lodge, over there we have reticulated giraffe, which is also the picture that you have above you on the animal spotting guide. And they have kind of more of a smooth spot pattern to them. Now giraffes do spend a majority of the day, almost the entire day, standing up. They actually spend about 20 hours out of the day eating, and they'll only sleep for about 30 minutes. Or they won't do all that sleeping in one sitting. They'll take what's called a micro nap, which pretty much means they go to sleep for a minute or two. They're going to wake up, grab a bite to eat, go to sleep again, wake up, grab a bite to eat, and they'll continue that process throughout the entire day. Remember that these giraffe are a relative of the okapi, the animal that we first saw on the interior with those black and white stripes. And a good way to tell is based on that very long blue prehensile tongue that they have to be able to grab leaves. And there is a giraffe over here on the right sitting down.
More giraffes.
But the reason why giraffes' tongues are blue is because they do spend 20 hours out of the day eating. Their tongue does get exposed to a lot of sunlight. So their tongues are pink like us humans. They would actually get sunburned, but because they're blue, they're able to continue eating without any worry at all in the world. Now giraffes also have ossicones, those bones that stick out the top of their head. And whenever giraffes are born, those ossicones have little puffballs on the top to help protect that bone because it is still growing and is fairly soft, so it helps protect them if they ever were to take a tumble. But over time, when that bone hardens, that skin and their fur will grow over it, and that puffball will slowly fade away just because that bone's hard enough for it to be able to be healed, just so it won't kind of do any damage if it gets impacted. Now the other side of this bush here on the right, probably a little hard to see.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, hey there guys. So these are wildebeest up in front of us stampeding.
They don't want to miss their moment. It's like, hurry before the train gets here. Another one up on the hill.
Now, wildebeest are herding animals. They were herding groups of up to 1.5 million wildebeest at a time. And whenever wildebeest migrate, they kick up so much sand in the air, you can see it from space. And the cool thing about wildebeest is that wildebeest do sleep in rows. And the reason being is that if any of them got startled in the middle of the night, they're all going to start stampeding blindly, which means that they're just going to wake up and start running in the direction they're facing. So by sleeping in rows, it helps reduce the chances of one of them accidentally running into one another. It's a really confusing fact about them, but it makes sense because a herd of wildebeest is called a confusion. Based on all these broken trees coming up here on the left and right, it's usually a great indicator that a large mammal is coming up. No promises, but of course, we're going to keep our eyes peeled to see what animal may have caused all this. And it looks like it is just a little quiet out here. There is another viewing area up here, kind of where this road ends off. So maybe we may be able to spot an animal coming up here.
Oh, there's one way back there.
Now we'll bring out more luck as we head over this bridge and head out into elephant country. Usually around here we're able to find elephants, more specifically African elephants. They are the largest land mammal in the world. They weigh 15,000 pounds, and they will maintain all that weight. They will eat upwards of 300 pounds of food every single day. We're able to tell these African elephants we have here are African elephants, not just because we're in Africa, but because their ears are in the same exact shape as the African continent. Now what I'm hoping is we're going to have more luck trying to find some of these elephants. Now elephants will split up into 3 different herds. The first one is solo. Whenever male elephants turn 13 years old, they will go solo and leave the rest of the herd. However, those male elephants may band together and create what's called a bachelor, which consists of just men. And for the rest of the elephants, that consists of the mother and their young. They're going to band together and create what's called a parade herd, and that parade herd is usually headed by one female elephant. His main job is to find a water resource. Now again, being that these elephants eat 300 pounds of food every day, their diets mainly consist of vegetation. That doesn't really provide a lot of nutritional value. So these elephants resort to other means, and based on these tusk marks here on the right, they've been here quite recently. This is red clay. Those elephants that eat that red clay as it contains important minerals and nutrients these elephants need to stay the happy elephant species they are. Now, a cool project that we actually helped out here at Disney is called the Elephant and Bees Project. The problem is in Africa, these elephants are bombarding all these African farmers' crops, eating up everything on their fields. So we found out here at Disney that as big and strong as elephants may seem, they're extremely afraid of bees. Elephants have extremely sensitive skin, and bees have a very painful sting. So when these farmers set up these beehives on their fences and kept the elephants out. Now don't feel too bad for the elephants. It was a win-win situation for everybody in the end. But the elephants are able to continue roaming the land they call home. Those bees are able to pollinate, and the farmers are able to maintain their crops. And there's an elephant coming up here on the left. Now you notice that this elephant kind of has almost glossy skin, and the reason being is that being that the large land mammal they are, they can get hot very quickly. So elephants will flap their ears as their first technique to cool down. What they're doing is they're blowing air on their sides to help reduce their body temperature, and that way they can reduce their body temperature by 15 degrees. But the other way is by using their trunks to throw things such as water on their back, and they can use that to be able to help prevent them from getting sunburn. Now this elephant here did a mixture of two things, not only water, but on their back have it looks like to be almost dirt or mud on their back. Now again, being the very big animal they are, and being that they have extremely sensitive skin, they are one of the animals here on the reserve that can get sunburned the easiest. So elephants will use their trunks to throw things such as mud and dirt on their back to use as a natural form of sunblock to help prevent getting sunburned. And now coming up here on the left, we do have some greater flamingo. A group of greater flamingo is called a flamboyance. So we have a flamboyance, a greater flamingo on our left. They do get that pink coloration from the shrimp that they eat. And the cool thing about flamingos is that usually most birds, the females are the ones who sit on the egg and incubate it. However, with flamingos, both the male and female take turns sitting on that egg until it hatches. And if you see those kind of smaller ones have the black legs, the black and gray feathers, those are young greater flamingo. Those little guys are anywhere from a year to 2 years old. They're not going to show that full pink coloration until they turn about 2 years old. Now, friends, we have entered onto our our eastern part of the savannah here. And notice I did say savannah again, even though this looks a lot different from what we just saw. We gained back a lot of that shade, and we have a lot taller grass here. And instead of kind of that shorter grass, we have mud. And a lot of the animals that call this side of savannah home are really going to utilize the environment to their advantage. They're going to utilize the shade because it contains cooler spots for them to cool off. But also some animals are going to utilize these mud pits. They will literally roll their bodies around in the mud, and by doing so, they're able to reduce their body temperature that way. So just make sure we're keeping a really close look out into the shade, because there might be some animals that kind of like to hang out just to kind of cool off from all this heat we're having. And again, we're just keeping out in this shade, just trying to see if any animals might like to hang out around here. And it looks like here on the left there is an animal. If you look at the left side of the truck, up on the right of this hill, there is a cheetah. There are two of them. Now, cheetahs are the fastest land mammal in the world. They reach speeds up to 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. But they aren't able to run that as a full marathon. Cheetahs do have to run in very short bursts. That's because they have a very thick fur, which just exhausts them pretty quickly. They're also one of the only big cats that hunt during the day. And cheetahs accomplish this because on their face they have a black strip of fur that goes back from their eyes down to their mouth. And that helps reflect sunlight out of their eyes, just so they're kind of able to see exactly what direction that they're running in. And just to throw in a cute fact for y'all, like your domesticated cats at home, cheetahs also do purr. And speaking of big cats, here's a big cat coming up here on the left. There is a lion, and he is sleeping. Now, believe it or not, lions do spend anywhere from 16 to 20 hours out of the day sleeping. It's not that they're a lazy animal, just that whenever they hunt, they only catch their prey 30% of the time, so they sleep to conserve energy. But that's also because during their day, their eyesight is the same as us humans. However, at night, it's upwards of 6 times as powerful. They also have an incredibly powerful roar, which can be heard over 5 miles away. Now, of course, a good way to be able to tell the difference between male and female lions, or the lionesses, is obviously based on that mane on that male lion. That male lion has, that hairpiece does weigh 40 pounds and weighs quite a bit on that lion. And whenever it comes to hunting, the lionesses, the females, are the ones who are out actually doing all the hunting, while the males are the ones who are back protecting the rest of the pride from any other predators. And of course, in Swahili, lion does mean Simba. Just like Simba from The Lion King.
Almost like they named that intentionally.
Now, over here on the left, you look on the left side of this tree here, there is an animal laying down the other side of the rocks. Can be a little hard to see, but there is a warhog. Now, warhog are a burrowing animal. And so they'll use those tusks to dig their own burrows. But sometimes warhog may just steal burrows from other animals. And they will actually back into those burrows with their heads facing forward, just so they're able to see if any predator might be walking alongside. And this is probably one of my favorite facts about warhog too, is warhog being as small as they are, they can actually reach a max speed of 35 miles per hour. They can move pretty quickly. Now it looks like the truck this truck that's directly across from us right now is currently stopped. And there's an animal on the other side of that road there. There's an ostrich. You won't be able to see it from right here, just because it's on the other side of this hill. So it's kind of a little hard to see. Now the reason why that we are stopped again, being that these are wild animals, they can go anywhere they want. They can even cross the road if they want. They can even sit on the road if they want. Sometimes it's crazy how a lot of these animals love the humidity. So whenever it rains and then all that sun comes in and just picks up that humidity, some of these animals may just sit on the road and lay on it. So what we're seeing up ahead, you probably aren't able to see it, but I can see just a glimpse of it. There's an ostrich up ahead, and he's standing just in a location that we really aren't I wouldn't say happy with, but probably just a little not as careful as we would like them to be. And it's just a little insider thing. Oh, these warhogs are up, I guess. Now, just an insider thing that I'm able to share, and there's that ostrich right there. If you notice that when we're driving by, if you've ever been with us on our safaris before, you notice that we were kind of crossing over those big metal grates that kind of make a very loud noise with those chains. Now those are what we call cattle guards, and that pretty much separates the different areas of the reserve for each other. Now it's not a way to separate animals necessarily, it's just because a lot of the animals, for example, the animals found here on the West Savannah and East Savannah, they usually in the wild they kind of clash against each other, and it really isn't kind of really healthy for them to be near each other. So we separate them with other animals they're found around that they really are kind of friendly with, just so we don't really have these problems. So what those cattle guards are doing is they're kind of separating that, and it's also preventing other animals from going into it. So that ostrich did just get a little close to that cattle guard we were like, and just out of fear of him accidentally maybe running into an area he's not supposed to, we went ahead and stopped just to give him a little bit of room so he doesn't kind of jump into an area that we don't want him. And it looks like we're going to get a really close look at this animal up here that kind of caused this stop. Now, over here on the right, as well as the left side of the truck coming up, it looks like it may just be on the left side of the truck, there are an ostrich. The ostrich are the largest bird in the world. I guess I did say bird, however they cannot fly, but they can run a max speed of 40 miles per hour, and they use their wings to change directions of where they're going. Now, they also lay one of the largest eggs out of any bird. Their egg does weigh 3 pounds, and the average human can fully stand on that egg without breaking it.
That's hilarious. The ostrich is holding up traffic.
And now, friends, unfortunately with that, we are in our last part of the safari for today in the Magadi Glen. It's where our warden likes to call home, but in my opinion, it's only one of the cutest animals here on the reserve, the Nigerian dwarf coat. And I guess I did say dwarf, and they're all fairly small. That's because they're all born about around last year. They're a very playful species of goats. You'll see them running around, headbutting each other, doing all those very fun goat things. But the warden likes to keep these guys for two reasons. The first one being the very small footprint needed in order to maintain them, but the other is that they produce a high rich milk, which the warden will sell in the community of Harambe. And if you think these goats are cute, you can actually pet them for yourself over at Rafiki's Planet Watch. And now, friends, unfortunately with that, that is the end of our safari for today. So I do hope you enjoyed your time here on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve and got to witness all the crazy cool animals that call this place home. Now, of course, there are tons of things that you can do at home to help support these animals. Things like reduce, reuse, and recycle. You can recycle old electronic batteries. They contain coltan, which can help reduce deforestation. You can reduce the amount of paper products used, such as napkins, paper towels, and paper bags. If you couldn't tell, trees are a very important resource to a lot of these animals. And, of course, reuse. Things like reusable water bottles and reusable bags when shopping can all help reduce the burden on the environment, which in return will reduce the burden on all of our animals.